down. Okay. Can you see your table? Yeah. Actually, I can see it really good. And so the chats will all come down there on the right-hand side.
Mm-hmm.
And then the number of people will be up there by the live. Yeah. Just watch this little thing.
It gives me like all of it.
Does it? When you look. How's the brightness? Yeah, I think it's good. Good. Okay. Right. No, we don't know. Good afternoon. We are Elevation Health. I am Maggie Birdsell. I am one of the owners and the dietitian with Elevation Health. And Heather Peters, she is our nurse practitioner. And we're here today to bring to you our first ever YouTube live show. And today we're going to be cooking. And we hope in the future we'll have even more videos, lives. It may involve cooking, and it may just involve us talking and having a conversation about what's going on locally and personally, and how all of the things that happen in our lives really can influence our health for the better or for worse.
Yep.
So today we're going to be cooking. And while it's just over 12 o'clock, we are going to wait a few more minutes to allow a few more people hop on. But the chat feature is live, so we would love to know. We can't see names. We don't know who's joining us. So would love it if you would drop your name in the chat box. If you have questions throughout our time here and throughout cooking, we want you to drop those questions in the chat box as well as any other questions that maybe that has come to mind that you've had. The more interaction right now with everything going on with COVID, this is as interactive as we can get. So we want to hear from you while we're cooking. Also want to hear if you have your ingredients ready. So if you have your ingredients and you are cooking with us, I want to know so that I can make sure to pace the cooking and the prep with you. If you didn't know you could do that or didn't know what ingredients to get, visit our website, elevationhealthpc.com, and put in your email. When you put in your email on that homepage, you'll get an immune boosting tip sheet with all natural ways to boost your immune system. And then that'll also give you the notifications for all of our future and live videos. You'll also, if you go ahead and do that today or through Sunday, between today and Sunday, that will still send you the ingredient list and the recipe. As soon as we get off our video today, anybody who puts their email in on our website will also get the full recipe from today's cooking show. So we want to hear from you, and we want to hear also what other topics, recipes, other things that would be helpful for you to know about. So we're going to talk for a minute, just a little bit about ourselves and why that plays a really big role in bringing this to you today. So Heather and I are both moms, wives, business owners, medical providers. I have two little girls, ages 4 and 7.
I have
yours.
2 twins. They're 8, a boy and a girl. And so we are into baseball and gymnastics. And it seems every afternoon we're going somewhere. So I'm sure all of you other moms are familiar with that. And for me, excuse me, for me, cooking is not something that I love. Like, I don't enjoy that. I don't like to bake. I don't like to cook for fun. But I do want to cook something healthy for my family. So more than I don't like to cook, I don't like fast food even more for them all the time. There are days, we do hit that and try to make the best decision we can. But I like to be able to prepare something, but I don't want to spend all afternoon doing it because a lot of times we're getting home late and I don't want to be in the kitchen the whole time. So that's my perception. So I'm sure there are some of you who do love to cook and want new recipes and that kind of thing. But for me, I want to know just so I can get something healthy for my family and have a plan. I don't do well just having some ingredients and like, what can I whip up? Like, I need a recipe and a plan. And so that's me. But Maggie loves to cook, and she enjoys food in all kinds of ways. And so she'll be doing most of the cooking, and I'll kind of facilitate your questions.
And so smash that like button if you are a mom or a parent, a dad, a grandparent that doesn't want to spend hours in the kitchen and wants to have us keep sending your way quick, easy things to fix on a weeknight. Not to mention, is there anything worse than fixing a meal on a weeknight or a weekend and then your entire family not eating it or making faces at it,
Yep.
or your kids telling you it's gross and you just planned and prepared? I mean, there's not a parent I've talked to that has not experienced this. And so while I don't think that we need to cater to our children, young children and adult children, to fix whatever they want, I do think it's good to reframe the food that we are fixing to challenge them, but also open their minds and taste buds about trying new things. So today we are fixing a weeknight salmon burger. So everybody loves burgers. And one of the little things that I learned in my house is that if you call it a burger, they're going to be more likely to eat it than if you call it a patty.
Yes.
So there's something about calling food a patty that is apparently not appealing.
Two kids.
Two kids.
Yeah.
Two kids, yes. So we're going to be fixing a weeknight salmon burger. I fix this in my house at least 2 times a month, at least. It is my go-to get home late, throw together, because you can use your fingers. So the little ones, mine just pick it up and dip it in honey mustard or Chick-fil-A sauce that is now available at Walmart.
Ketchup. Yeah.
Ketchup works. If you want a more adult flavor, you can mix it in, cocktail sauce, tartar sauce, whatever flavors you like. So it's really versatile. You can put it on a sandwich. That certainly works too.
I don't think I even told mine it was salmon.
And
I just said it was
works.
a new kind of burger.
That works too.
So
Yeah,
it's a different kind of burger tonight. So sometimes I don't really tell them the ingredients because for any of you that know my son, he loves junk food and all things like sweets, and he would never pick a healthy option most likely. So I don't always tell them what the ingredients are. I just say it's something new. And
less is more. Less is more when it comes to describing the food that you're feeding your family. So coming up with creative names, or even just saying, this is dinner. What are we eating? Well, we're going to eat burgers. We're a different kind of burger, so they're not completely misled. So so to get started, the ingredients for this dish are super simple. We have 1 can. This is 1 large can. This is a 14-ounce can of salmon. Now, this is wild-caught salmon, which, in my opinion, is preferred over farmed salmon. This also still has the skin and the bones. So for some of you, or us, that may not be what you want to handle or deal with. I'll talk about, while we're mixing it up, some of the benefits of going with the skin and the bones. You also can peel out the skin and the bones, particularly the skin, and give it to your pet, your animal, your dog specifically. Really, salmon skin is really good for their coats, but it's really good for us too. Mm-hmm. So, however, if that is just not what you desire, then going with 2 small cans, which are usually about 6 ounces of boneless, skinless salmon, that is perfectly fine too. This one large can will make roughly 4 to 5 salmon patties, depending on how large you make your patties. I sometimes make a couple of mine smaller and a couple bigger since it's going to kids. So we're going to have 1 can. You'll have 2 eggs and between 1/3 and 1/2 a cup of breadcrumbs. Now, there are gluten-free breadcrumbs out there. There are seasoned breadcrumbs, panko breadcrumbs. All are certainly options for this recipe. Want you to always remember, recipes are just guides. They're really helpful to have, but sometimes recipes become more frustrating when you bend over backwards to try to find the very exact ingredient, or if you have specific dietary needs. If you are allergic to eggs, this recipe could still work for you. You might just replace the 2 eggs with a 1/4 cup of flaxseed, ground flaxseed, which would be an egg replacement. Or if you need gluten-free food, you could find gluten-free breadcrumbs, or you could toast gluten-free bread and crumble it up yourself. You, in fact, could use oatmeal. So just because it's not a recipe specific to your dietary needs doesn't mean it can't be switched up a little bit.
I used, I have a son my son has some food allergies, and I used Chex Mix, or not Chex Mix, Chex cereal.
Yeah.
So just the plain Chex cereal, crushed it up, and that worked because at the time I couldn't find the right breadcrumbs that I needed. That had the allergy, the things eliminated that he was allergic to. So the Chex cereal worked. I just crunched that up.
Which is a great idea. That's just really acting as a binding agent to keep the patty together so it doesn't fall apart while you're cooking it. We're also going to incorporate some seasonings. I'm going to be using a all-purpose seasoning that has a little bit of salt in it. And so since we're using canned salmon and an all-purpose seasoning, we are not adding additional salt. There's really plenty of sodium in those 2 things. And then it also has chili powder, garlic, black pepper, onion, white pepper, cumin, and a little cayenne. This is where I definitely encourage you to get creative. Lemon pepper seasoning would be great. You could do a typical seafood seasoning if you wanted. You could just use powdered garlic, salt, and pepper. So the seasoning is definitely something that can be changed to your liking. If you just really don't even know where to go with seasoning, I would highly encourage you to check out the Spice and Tea Exchange in West Jefferson. Elevation Health members do get 20% off with their membership card. So that's one of the benefits of being an Elevation Health patient. And they are very knowledgeable and can guide you through what might go well with that. So we're going to get started. To show how easy this is, I've preheated my skillet. Now, we are cooking in our office, so that's how easy this recipe is. If you're at home and you have a cast iron skillet, I would highly recommend doing this recipe in a cast iron skillet because you just get that extra browning, which is just nice, a little crispy and browning on the salmon patty. But you're going to heat your skillet, and while you turn on and are heating your skillet, we're going to go ahead and open and empty our salmon into our bowl. Okay. Now, when I'm opening my salmon, I just want to give a shout out to my Pampered Chef can opener. There's no kickbacks here. They didn't sponsor us. So nothing to disclose there, but I just love my Pampered Chef can opener because it opens the top of your can so it's not sharp. It actually cuts it around the side and peels the lid on the inside to the inside of the can. So we're going to, in our bowl, you're going to take your salmon and we're just going to use a fork to mash up and stir, kind of like you would with a potato masher, your salmon. And it'll break apart really easily. So let's go back to this skin and bones. When your salmon is canned, that in order to can it, as all of us who food process know, you're cooking it in the can. So this is already cooked. The salmon is already cooked. It's not raw. And it's heated, of course, really high to can it. So the skin, the little bones that are in there are really soft. Now, the first 2 batches of salmon patties I made, I pulled all of that out. I actually didn't realize that I bought the can that had skin and bones, so I was a little surprised. So I pulled out all of the bones, threw them away, and then was listening to a podcast talking about collagen and the benefits of collagen for our hair, our nails, our joints, our skin. And, of course I knew this, I just needed a reminder that collagen it's in your bones. It's in animal products in their bones and joints. So I thought, I don't take collagen, but I know that it's really beneficial. So I decided the next time I made these, which was last week, to leave the bones in there. So what we're going to do is we're going to get a little bit messy and we're going to use our hands to mix the salmon. And you're just literally going to mash the different pieces of salmon in between your fingers. And what you'll notice is that the bones, they just mash, they pulverize. You don't even, they're soft because it's been canned. So it's been cooked. So if you just get a little grossed out by that, then you can wear gloves to do that. You can mash it with your fork. It's just a little bit harder. I'm really hands-on with my food. Yeah. So you want to get your hands in there, mash it up. The skin, you don't even see. Like it just completely mixes in. But again, if that's just a little too much for you, it's okay. Just buy the one without bones or skin. So we're going to mix this all together.
And if you guys have questions while this is going on, I'm monitoring the feed for her. So if you have questions for her, whether it's about the recipe or something different, go ahead and write them in there. I'm going back periodically to check that. So just shoot your questions over or comments.
Absolutely. And you can also continue after we post this video. You'll have the ability on our YouTube channel to post comments and questions. All right, so we're going to mash all that up. I'm going to have to go real quick around the wall here and wash my hands. All right.
Any possibility of getting collagen from plant-based sources?
Great question. Who asked us that? We know.
It looks like Amanda from the Cooperative Extension Office.
Amanda. Okay, so there are a lot of products that are marketed as collagen supplements that are plant-based. So that can be a little bit confusing. And the reason that's confusing, so the short answer is no. Collagen is only found in animals. But what collagen is a makeup of multiple strains of amino acids. And amino acids are various forms of protein. So sometimes plant-based sources will say that they're a good source or a source of collagen. And the reality is it's just actually a source of some of those amino acids. So it's a little bit of confusing. It's a little bit confusing with marketing. But seafood or marine collagen, of course, it comes from chicken, beef, fish, all of those. But right now, there's no way to get collagen from plant-based sources. All right. So I have mixed all of this up, and I'm going to add first to my salmon breadcrumbs. Now depending on how well held together you want your salmon patties, you can you can use a slightly less breadcrumbs. I like mine to hold together really well, especially since I'm giving it to my little ones and I know that they're going to pick it up and use it with their hands. And I find that there's more waste if it falls apart. So if they can pick it up and eat it and dip it and it's not falling apart, it's less likely to waste. So I'm going to add in, I use a half of a cup, but I think you could probably go as low as a third of a cup of your breadcrumbs. So I'm going to add a half a cup and give that a mix. Once I've mixed that just slightly, I'm going to take 2 eggs, and it really does work better to beat your eggs in a bowl for this recipe before you add it so that the yolks and the whites really get mixed in real well together. Some recipes I just really don't mess because I just add it all into one bowl because I really don't want to stand and do dishes for hours after I cook. So, but for this one, I would encourage that you go ahead and add the egg to a separate bowl and stir and whisk it, break it up. So we're going to mix your salmon and your beaten eggs and your breadcrumbs together. All right. Until it's a coarse. It's not going to really stick well together yet. So it's going to be kind of coarse. And now we're just going to let it rest for a minute. While it's resting, you can wrestle your little ones or get homework started. In your hot pan, we're going to melt coconut oil. Now, I've chosen to use coconut oil for this recipe because we, at our house specifically, use mostly plant-based products, and that's just a personal choice for our own families, what our health goals are. So if it works with your health goals and your lifestyle to use butter, that is acceptable. I certainly would recommend a high quality one where there's few ingredients. Olive oil can work too. I really like my salmon burgers to be crispy on the outside and a little golden brown. So I'm using coconut oil because that is going to get me to that result. Olive oil is awesome and we use it in everything, but it really doesn't get you don't get the crispiness. If you have an air fryer too, I don't have one, so you'll have to mention in the chat if you have one and have ever made salmon patties or something like that in your air fryer. I don't have one, but I would imagine that you could forego the oil altogether and make salmon patties in your air fryer. So we're going to use coconut oil to get the brown, crispy crust on the salmon patties. Last thing we're going to do is add our seasoning. I'm not measuring it. This is not a recipe that I bother getting my measuring spoons out for seasoning. So I'm just going to add in this seasoning until it looks good. So you can just make that adjustment for yourself. So letting the salmon sit for a minute allows the egg to start absorbing. Allows the breadcrumbs to start absorbing the egg and the moisture. And one of the things I've noticed just now with this salmon patty is that it's gotten thicker. All right. So again, I'm going to use my hands because I'm a hands-on when I cook. But you also could use, if you wanted to make all the salmon patties really even, you could do a third of a cup measuring cup or a quarter of a cup to make them all exactly the same size. I'm just going to eyeball them. So I'm going to get about a handful. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I have no idea where this came from. It was my grandmother's, and I found it in her kitchen and kept it after she passed away. But it's a burger. It's to patty burgers out, and it's got 3 little like ribbed areas. So you put it on there, and then you put the top on there, and you kind of squish it down, and it makes them all perfect and round. They look kind of like the ones in the grocery store that are already pattied out.
Yeah.
But it just does it for you. So I don't know if that's a tool that's was kind of an older thing and we don't use as much, or if it's common and I just didn't know about it. But I use it all the time. I love it.
That extra little gadget.
It's just a little gadget to do that.
So you made these recently. Tell
I
me,
did.
how did your family like them?
And
And what would you do anything different next time?
my family loved these. The kids loved these. I personally was a little grossed out by the skin and the bones. Like, honestly, if I didn't know they were in there, I could eat it and be fine. But when I was prepping it and I dumped it out, and I don't know, I just wasn't
Did it
prepared.
catch you off guard?
Yes,
Yeah.
I didn't know that it had skin and bones in it. I didn't pay attention. I just bought like canned salmon.
Yeah.
And so I dumped it out and I saw the skin and the bones and I was like, a little like taken back. It caught me off guard and I didn't, the taste was fine. And it was probably only because I was prepping it. And obviously I wouldn't have known they were in there had like I just been served them. But I went back and used the canned kind without the bone and the skin.
So why we're using salmon, you could use tuna.
Yeah.
You could make tuna patties, but you want to make sure not to have tuna every day. Tuna can be a source of mercury, so you want to be cautious of how much tuna you're taking in. Salmon is just like a powerful, high protein, healthy food. Now, one of the things I noticed, because we also use the smaller cans of salmon and we use the salmon pouches because they're really quick and easy to throw in your lunch. But so one of the benefits of salmon is that it's actually pretty high in fat. And the little pouches of salmon really don't have any fat. And I think it's because they're expressing a lot of the fat to make fish oil. Maybe. Yeah. This is an assumption. Mm-hmm. And then, using the rest of the fish for the packs of salmon. So that's fine. That makes it a lean source of protein and really healthy, but high fat salmon, so your regular fresh salmon with the nice layer of fat in it is really good for you. That type of fat is great. One of the things we recommend to a lot of people is fish oil or an omega supplement, because most of us around here in the mountains of North Carolina don't eat seafood just as much on a regular basis as our body could benefit from.
So a lot of people, patients, I'm sure ask you too, but when you say high fat, that's maybe a little scary because there's been so much in the media over the past few years about, oh yeah, you should eat a low fat diet. So can you maybe explain a little bit about the type of fat, and not all fat is bad fat, and maybe explain that just a little bit?
Yeah, so fat is definitely not all created equal. And just to clear the air, fat is not going to make you fat. So fat in your food does not equate to fat on your body. In fact, fat in your food is a really important part of satiety, so making you feel full and satisfied in a meal. Blood sugar control, like people who consume a slightly higher fat diet, or at least moderate, not attempting to eat low fat, tend to actually eat less calories overall at the end of the day. Mm-hmm. But the type of fat that's in your salmon is going to be your omega-3 fatty acids. And those are omega-3 fatty acids are linked to a healthier heart. So heart health is how we hear about it a lot. Brain health, so your memory and keeping a healthy brain. Healthy blood vessels. So healthy fats will be things that are like your omega-3 fatty acids, things from salmon, olives, olive oil, nuts like walnuts, almonds, pecans. So there's a whole variety of different foods, and every food has something slightly different. So you can't just say, well, I don't need to eat salmon or I don't need to eat almonds because I use olive oil. And so that takes care of it. Like, it's the variety and the mix that really matters. So we've got our salmon patties on the griddle. And I'm just going to let them cook and get nice and browned. I'll add the coconut oil as needed. And I'm going to take a moment to go wash my hands. I'm going to let Heather tell you about our diffusers that are on sale for Easter.
Oh, yeah, I can do that. I'll come here. So we have several diffusers here if you're local. We have kids diffusers. They're cute. I'll show you some pictures in a second of little kitties and frogs and ducks and pigs. And so my kids love these in their room, and that you can actually put a water bottle in the top if you need to, and it just keeps the water going through. You don't have to necessarily fill it every day. You can just fill the bottle. But I'm a big fan of diffusers. My husband and my son have a lot of seasonal allergies, and so I typically diffuse a blend called Breathe that really helps them during that season. Yeah, so here is the little duck. So these would look great in an Easter basket, just saying. We have, like I said, a cat and a frog and a pig. Now we also have diffusers for adults if you're interested as well. So stop by and check us out sometime. We have some other neat little gift ideas if you're looking for some special homemade things. We do carry some like blends, eczema blends, and really just body butter kind of handmade.
Yeah.
That is really good for skin and dry skin and that type of thing. So if you're looking for little gift ideas, chapstick, bath oil, facial kits, stop in. Give us a try.
So you may be thinking, I thought you were medical practice. Like, aren't you? Don't you do primary care? But we decided we do. That's exactly what we do. But we are a little bit different in our approach. We want to really try to help you focus on your lifestyle, because your lifestyle ultimately is going to be what impacts your health. So our ultimate goal and why we came live to you today is to give you the tools and the resources to make that healthier lifestyle easier. So if we can put a quick meal together, that's great. If we can diffuse some oils that help with respiratory health, and this time of year with allergies that are coming, starting to affect people, then we're really working more towards the prevention side. And so really, our goal is to having some of these other things, whereas to make it more available and make it the easier thing to do for all the community too. These things are not available just to our members, but to the whole community, to make the healthy choice an easier choice and make it more readily available. So,
and really it's the things like I find helpful for my family and my health. Maggie finds helpful for her family and her health. And so we really just tried to create a resource for people in the community to have access to these things. So if there are other things that you feel like you need that you don't have access to, leave us a comment. We'll see if we can venture into getting that. If not, that's great too. But we just really want to try to be a resource for the community, even if you're not our patients. So just having access to things that you can stop in and see. And we're usually here every day from 8 to 5. Then if you needed to stop in on the weekend or something, a lot of times we're next door at the gym. So, we can make that happen as well. Just let us know. Just shoot us a message.
And we love hearing about new products. Like, we love learning about new foods or ingredients or personal care products, because what you are using on your skin and in your hair and, makeup or on your body, your deodorant, all of that matters when it ultimately comes down to your overall health. So we do love hearing about new things. So our salmon patties are looking really good. So they're a little crispy on one side. So I'm starting to flip them. It's probably 5 to 7 minutes. So keep in mind the salmon is already cooked. So we are cooking the egg, essentially, warming them up, cooking the egg all the way through. So how do you know it's done? Well, mostly you want that golden brown. There's not really going to be any juice that comes out like or clear liquid like you're cooking fish. When you're cooking raw fish and chicken, you know it's done when it's running clear. The juices are running clear. For this, it's really probably 5 to 7 minutes on each side would be completely adequate. So we're just going to flip them. Sometimes it's easier in a cast iron skillet. Mine are a little bit thicker. Again, I kind of feel like they hold a little bit, hold together a little bit easier. So in a cast iron skillet, you can take the edges of the salmon patty and kind of roll them around the side to really get that edge crispy too. Or I had mentioned an air fryer would probably be.
Oh yeah.
These would probably be really good in an air fryer. To be continued. Maybe
yeah.
we'll do some air fryer recipes in the future.
If you guys have used an air fryer, let us know how that's working. I have not used one yet, but I hear really positive things about it. So
Yeah.
I'm all for new, quick things. So
I'm thinking next month we'll come live with some Instapot cooking.
yeah.
Because I'm a big fan of my Instapot and weeknight meals. And which I feel like is the biggest, like the hardest thing is weeknights, kids have been in school. Mine come home from school or home from work with me like starving. And it's so hard to get a meal ready fast enough to then get them fed that's healthy. But if you take a little bit longer, then they snack and then they're not hungry. So having some things prepped. The other thing is try to cook once and eat multiple meals out of it. Now, when I fix this meal, I don't have any leftovers. I got 6, 7 patties. 2 of them are pretty small. But my husband and I usually eat 2 a piece for a full serving. So the serving size in the can of salmon is 5. So this has made 7 patties, and the 4 of us usually eat all of them. So I don't really have any leftovers. But you could, if you had the time one day or one evening, you could double this recipe. And like I have enough room on here for a bunch more. And you could go ahead and just cook a whole bunch and then have leftovers. You can even freeze them after you've cooked them. And then they're just ready to go. You just pull out one at a time. So we're just waiting for them to cook all the way through.
They smell good.
Nice and crispy on the other side. I'm going to add a little bit more oil just because I don't want them to stick. And I want them like brown, golden brown on the one side. So this video will be on our website and on our YouTube channel afterwards. So if you want to revisit it or share it, if you know anybody who couldn't make it, I know it's midday on a Friday. So if you're like, you know exactly who needs to see this video and have this recipe, but they couldn't make it, you can share our link or share this video. Again, go to our website to put in your email to make sure we know to notify you for all future videos.
And then you can have access to newsletter and information there. So
good. We're getting there. We're getting a little crispy. I'm going to give it just a couple more minutes. So I'm going to put mine on a bed of lettuce. Usually for my kids, I'll fix their plate with 1 small patty and some sides. So maybe some broccoli, some cooked broccoli, or some sweet potato fries, some homemade sweet potato fries, or something like that to add extra color to the plate. Getting something green, carrot sticks. My kids love carrot sticks, so adding a little colorful plate with their sauce. You don't have to put it on bread, so you don't have to make a sandwich out of it. You can literally use it as a topping or just as your main protein for the meal. So as we finish these up, and you're going to finish cooking, I don't want to cook them too much. I'm going to plate them on my lettuce here. So all in all, this is less than 30 minutes. I mean, from start to finish, we've been talking. So if you're at home, you're not going to be talking and instructing others about your recipe, although you may be, rarely am I just standing in my kitchen by myself cooking. So more than likely, there is a lot else of other things going on. And so that's what makes this super great and easy. But we're done. 30 minutes. Another big pet peeve of mine with recipes is the duration that's listed on the recipe. I always about double the duration that a recipe says. So if a recipe says that the prep time is 15 minutes, it takes me about 30 minutes. If it says the cook time may be about the same, but the prep time is always longer, and it just is really frustrating to me because I want fast meals, and 30-minute meals that I find online are still like 45-minute meals.
Yes, the prep is what takes me forever.
The chopping,
Yes.
So that's what I like about this. There's no additional chopping. So while your patties are cooking, you can get some homework done. You could go ahead and wash up your dishes and dishes be clean. You could be chopping up some carrots or steaming some broccoli or something to go on the side with it. And literally the whole meal is done in 30 minutes. So we are going to go enjoy some salmon patties. I hope that you will take this recipe and really give it a try. It's really, really easy. I promise it is. But if you come up with any questions or run into any snags or the recipe wasn't what you expected, drop us a comment in the video, or again, drop us an email, visit our website. To get their full recipe, you will need to visit our website and put your email in. You'll get your free immune boosting tips, and then you'll get the recipe for today's video. So thanks so much for joining us, and tune in, stay tuned. We'll be back next month with either some Instapot cooking or another live video.